Hello and welcome to the TMC Newsroom. My name's Rich Tehrani. Thanks for watching us today. We are in San Jose, California, and we are looking at the best and brightest companies in the area. And on our program at the moment is Todd Goldman. He's the VP of Marketing and Product Management at Nlyte Software. Todd, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much. Pleasure to be here.
So tell me a little bit about Nlyte Software.
So Nlyte's in an area called Data Center Infrastructure Management Software. It's a relatively new space. We have our own four-letter acronym now, DCIM, which Gartner, Forrester, and the 451 group are now all talking about. And what we do is we have software for managing the data center. So for doing predictive intelligence of when you get that next 100 servers, where should I put them in the data center to optimize the use of power, cooling, and space. And also management control. So who's doing the moves, adds, and changes, and how do I control that process of actually operationally running my data center. So it used to be that was done on Excel spreadsheets, and now we're introducing software that helps optimize and automate the management of the data center on a day-to-day basis.
So that's it's very exciting because, as we know, with the cloud becoming such a big deal right now, we've got data centers that are growing to unbelievable levels, right? So is that affecting the business?
Yeah, it's affecting it in the sense that our customers they're doing migrations both within their own data center infrastructure, and then they're moving some infrastructure into the cloud, or they're moving into co-located facilities. And as part of doing those migrations, they need to understand, well, first, what do I have in my existing facility? And then when I move it to the cloud, how's that going to affect my current use of power, cooling, and space? If I move to a colo, what's really running in that co-located hosted environment? And how do I optimize my use of all my space across all those facilities, whether they're real or whether they're virtual?
So the complexity of management is something that companies really have to take into account as they migrate some of their service to the cloud and try to have private clouds and public clouds and leverage the two together. And that's where your company comes in.
Yeah, so we come in just the idea of, could you imagine running TMC on a spreadsheet? And that's it. You don't have general ledger software, you don't have any other software, you're just using a spreadsheet. Or could you imagine running, let's say, Ford Motor Company and run the manufacturing line on a spreadsheet? I mean, that's what people used to do years ago, and then they introduced manufacturing resource planning and now ERP software to run that manufacturing facility. This is the same kind of thing, but for the data center. So if I'm doing a migration or consolidation, of course I need something more sophisticated than a spreadsheet to manage that massive project,
right.
But then just on a day-to-day basis, how do I manage those moves, adds, and changes? Or what's the impact if I add 100 servers to my data center? So doing what-if analysis. So all those kinds of tasks that used to be done on a spreadsheet, or in fact, the majority of the industry is still doing this on the spreadsheet. Now there's software that can be used to automate that process.
And it makes it more productive, I imagine.
It makes it a lot more productive, and we're seeing our customers do things like, when they do a migration, it's saving them 50% of the time and cost to determine where should I move how should I deploy my new servers in my new facility. Or they're finding things like they can save just simple things like discovering where are all the orphan servers within my data center and getting those out can reduce costs by about 20% in terms of the power utilization and cooling utilization. So just more effective management processes and using software to do that saves on power, cooling, and space. And that's really where the value is located in data center infrastructure management software.
Now, how are you seeing the competitive market shaping up?
So right now, the 451 group has kind of declared that there are 3 major players. There are 50 players in the space or more, because there's been a lot of investment, venture capital investment in the space in the last 18 months, at least $100 million going in. But if you look at the top tier players, there are 3 major players, 2 of which are actually hardware manufacturers. They're equipment manufacturers for power equipment. And then there's Nlyte. So the 451 group has, fortunately for us, declared that we're one of the top 3 players, and we're the only independent software player, the only pure play that's out there right now that's in those top 3.
So I guess that makes you more focused than some of the other ones that are...
That makes us more focused, and it also makes us, there's a difference between being a software company and a hardware company that does software as a hobby. I think we're a lot more nimble, and also we understand what it takes to be profitable and execute properly as a software company.
Now, how does a company watching this video determine whether they can benefit from the products you offer? Do they need to have a certain number of servers, be a certain number of users? How does that work?
Yeah, so it really is the total number of racks in your data center that you've got, I mean, if you have over 100 racks, clearly there's a benefit in terms of managing those racks. That's a fairly large data center, and there's clear optimizations that they can achieve. So if you're listing and you've got 100 racks or more, you're definitely a candidate for DCIM software and for Nlyte Software in particular. But we have customers who go down as low as 20 racks, and usually that will be, they've got 20 racks located in a remote facility, and because the software lets you visualize what that data center looks like, where the racks are on the floor, what's located in each rack, it allows them to more effectively manage remote facilities as well. So, as small as 20, but clearly over 100, it's a no-brainer, and depending in terms of the complexity of their environment, 20 to 100, is possible. But we've got customers that are all over the place.
Does the customer's reliance on virtualization have any impact on the results you can provide? In other words, if I have more virtualization, do I, in theory, have a more complex environment which you can help with?
It doesn't really, the virtualization doesn't really affect it that much. In fact, virtualization creates another set of problems with regard to when I have a problem with my virtual machine, I'll move it to another server, but let's say that a physical server dies. A lot of times people won't know where that physical server is located. They know it's in the data center somewhere. It died. The virtual machine realized, ooh, the server's dying, I better move, so it moves. So now where's that dead machine sitting, consuming power, cooling, and space? I've got to find it and get rid of it and either fix it or throw it out. So it affects things in the sense of mean time to repair can actually get longer because people don't know where. If you don't have a good linkage between your physical and virtual world, you won't know where those physical assets are when you've got a problem. So we help solve that problem. But overall, it doesn't really affect things. Virtualization has helped bring the cost of bring the waste of power and space that people had. It brought that down. But like everything else, it's kind of like an accordion in high tech, right? It brings it down, then all of a sudden you have VM sprawl, and it creates its own set of problems. Sure. So at the same time, while VMs have helped, data centers continue to grow, and they continue to consume more and more power, and as a result, and you still have to manage those moves, adds, and changes, and you still want to be able to do predictive analytics on, well, what's going to happen if I make changes or I add new physical hardware to my data center. So in some ways, it doesn't really make any difference. You're still growing. You're still consuming power.
So what's next for the company?
Next for the company, we've got a lot of exciting partnerships that are coming out that we're extending our reach through OEM relationships. We're extending our reach in terms of functionality through lots of partnerships, and we've got lots of new customers that are coming on board. We're growing pretty rapidly right now, and we're seeing the market grow rapidly, and our reach specifically in the market grow. So we're excited for the future.
Great. Well, thanks for being on the program. It was
Thank
great
you
to
very
meet
much. It's a pleasure meeting you.